I think Starfield is going to be the most polished game Bethesda has ever released, and I think there's a good amount of information pointing to this being the case. And it's no secret that a lot of Bethesda's titles are on the buggier side. Even though they're some of the most popular games ever released, they're still usually pretty buggy overall, but I think that's going to change with Starfield. And whether this is because Bethesda games being incredibly expansive, or them using a very old engine for a very long time, or because their games just take so long to make that they don't have as much time as they would like on that final stage of development that is bug fixing and polishing, but I think Starfield is going to change that. And if you're enjoying my Starfield coverage, make sure to subscribe. This channel is solely based on Starfield, and we have tons of videos coming soon. And I think a good place to start is an interview that Phil Spencer and Matt Booty did at the most recent Xbox showcase, where we got the 45-minute showcase of Starfield. Now, Phil Spencer is the head of Xbox and Matt Booty is the head of Xbox Game Studios, so both of these are people that would know a lot about Starfield, its development, and how it's going to release. And they gave some very interesting information on how long Starfield has actually been delayed to allow it to get more polishing and bug fixing, and also some very interesting information on how the amount of bugs in Starfield is going to stack up compared to Bethesda's previous titles.
I think we can probably both jump in on this one. I'll say the team has definitely matured, right? They've got, the Fallouts and Skyrims and Elder Scrolls under their belt. Truth be told, when the acquisition closed, this game had a significantly earlier ship date than where we're actually launching it, even significantly later than the date that we once had for the game, but it was earlier than that before. So sitting down with Todd and the team and explaining that we want to give this team the time. I think Matt says we have every QA person in our entire company,
the state of Washington,
like playing Starfield right now, looking at bug counts, looking at quality and where we are.
No, I would just echo first, we have an awful lot of people internally playing it. And I'll
just
say working with Todd and the team, I see bug counts and just say that just by the numbers, if it shipped today, this would be have the fewest bugs that any game from Bethesda has ever shipped with. And that was today.
Now, the first part of this clip goes over the various release dates that Starfield has had in the past and actually confirmed that there has been 3 release dates for Starfield. The first one being in 2021, which there were a bunch of leaks back then that Starfield would be releasing in 2021. This was also around the time that Microsoft was actually acquiring Bethesda, but then on June 13th of 2021, it was actually announced that Starfield would be releasing on November 11th of 2022. That was the first public release date of Starfield. But as we now know, Starfield would be delayed until September of 2023. So this is multiple years of delays that this game has received, and the vast majority of the development time of these delays has gone into polishing and bug fixing. And the second part of this clip actually verifies that as well. Because not only do they mention that basically all of the QA testers at Xbox have been testing out Starfield, but Matt Booty also mentions that going specifically by the amount of bugs and reported bugs, that Starfield is going to be the least buggy Bethesda game ever. And this is going strictly off of the numbers that the internal studios at Bethesda or other QA testers actually have. So this is looking at the raw data and the raw amounts of bugs. So just going off of Matt Booty's comment alone, this is already going to be the least buggy Bethesda title, but with all of this information, it's also easily going to be the most polished. But that's not where the information stops, because recently review copies of Starfield has started to be sent out, and people who pre-ordered Starfield on the Windows Store have also been able to preload the game, and a very interesting piece of information comes along with this, because while downloading or preloading the game, you actually get to see what patch version of the game you're currently downloading. And what is seeming to be the launch version of Starfield is going to be version 1.6.35 1.5.0. And when comparing this to most other games, usually games will officially launch on patch 1.0 or say like 1.0.35 or something similar. So the version of Starfield we will be getting on launch has had a massive amount of patches and work put into it after what was considered the release candidate, which would have been 1.0. And when comparing this to the launch of Fallout 4 and Skyrim, we have Fallout 4 that was 1.10 and Skyrim that was 1.22. So even though both of those games were also patched past the 1.0 release candidate, they weren't even close to being as updated as much as Starfield has been updated before launch. And all of these patch versions past 1.0 will have exclusively been bug fixes and polishing. They would not be adding in new features or new content past the release candidate before the game is even released. So all of these additional patches are strictly bug fixing, polishing, increasing performance, and everything on the technical side of the game. So even though Starfield is going to be one of the most expansive games ever released, I think it is very much going to be Bethesda's most polished game on release. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.